Hi there, welcome back to Hunt Hill at Home. It is raining out today, so I had to change a few of my plans, but that's okay, we're flexible. And actually this is a really great day to do this. I wanted to do something nice and mellow because I know this has been a really hard week for a lot of people. So today we're going to be doing some nature watercolor, and I'll show you how to do it. Watercolor can be intimidating for a lot of people, but there are some really simple things that you can do with watercolor that will make really beautiful things. Anyone of any age can do this, whether you're 6 years old or 60 years old or anything. So what you're going to need, of course, are a set of watercolors. A lot of families have them. And you don't have to get the most expensive ones, just grab some watercolors. You'll need some paper. Thicker paper tends to work best. You'll need a glass of water. You'll need some paintbrushes. I got some really thin ones so I can do some really nice little thin details. You're going to need a cloth or some paper towels to wipe off any excess water you've got. And you're going to need some inspiration. So for my inspiration today, I picked up a bunch of things that I found underneath an oak tree. So I have this little branch that fell off in the wind, some bark, a tiny little acorn, some acorn caps, and an oak leaf. Now I probably won't get to all of these today, but we'll give those about a little try. My grandma asks, how about 88? Sure, if you're 88, I bet you can do it too. So, before I begin, I know last time I forgot my joke of the day and people were upset. I want to make sure I've got my joke of the day done. So, did you hear about the two ships that crashed? They were both carrying paint. One was carrying all red paint and the other one was carrying all purple paint. After they crashed, both crews were marooned. All right, this would have been our last week of school field trips. We would have had Shell Lake 5th grade here, as well as DeLong 6th grade for 3 days. So those of you who are kids who are still at school, I hope you have a nice last week of school and get to appreciate summer after this. So we're gonna get started. The really fun thing about doing watercolors is you can do it for any sort of reason. Now you can do it to help inspire people to appreciate nature. You can also use it to help learn or teach about nature. Now one of the most amazing artists that was also a naturalist was John James Audubon. And John James Audubon is part of the reason why Hunt Hill has Audubon in the name. And I actually have a painting from John James Audubon right behind me. And it says that it's a swallowtail hawk and it's drawn from nature. So he actually went out and looked at the swallowtail hawk to make sure he got it just right. So we get to be naturalists today too, and we're going to be studying something. Now, I'm not going to be studying a hawk because I'm inside, but I have other nature items that I can study. So I'm going to start off with this leaf. And I want to do what's called a wax resist with this leaf. And what that means is that we're going to make it so none of the watercolor goes outside of some wax. So the other thing I'm going to need that I didn't list in my intro is some sort of crayon. Now I have a white crayon, so you won't even see the wax that I'm putting on here. But you can use a brown crayon or green crayon, whatever you want. And all you have to do is hold your item down. It's going to be a leaf this time. And you're going to trace around it with your crayon. Now this has to be a crayon. It cannot be a marker. because crayons are made with wax, and the wax is what we need to help keep our colors inside the lines. So I'm holding it down and tracing around here. And even as I'm doing this, I'm noticing some things about the leaf that I haven't noticed before. So on each of these little points on the leaf, I noticed that there's kind of a divot right before there. I wonder if that will show up when I do my painting. Maybe I should have done it in green. I'm not sure if I'll be able to tell where I had done it before. Okay, and I'm going to trace around this stem here. Super. So, you can barely see it, but if you get the right lighting, there is an outline of the leaf here. Now I'm going to use some scrap paper to help me find the right color that I want to use for my leaf. My leaf has several different shades going on with it. It's got kind of a tannish color, and then it's got this really, really, really light tan, almost yellow color. So I'm going to see if I can figure out how to get those just with these colors that I'm provided with. So what I've found is I almost always go too overboard with the water, and what I want to do is just get a tiny bit of water on my brush, just barely a drop, and then I will tickle the watercolors and I'll test it out on my strip to see what color I get. So there's my color, and I'm going to compare it to this. It's a little bit darker than this, so now I can add a little bit more water to lighten it up a little bit. There we go. Let's see what it looks like compared to this one. Ooh, that's pretty close. So I'm going to do that color first on my little outline here. And what you can see is this line where I put the crayon, it is resisting there, which means that there is no color on the line where the crayon was. Now if you start to run out of color, you can do the same thing again. Take a little bit, add another drop. And I am getting a bit of a variety of colors on here, and that's okay because leaves are a variety of different colors too. Since I had such a big thing, I might have done better to start off with my bigger brush, and I'm going to actually switch to that. That'll make the painting a little bit faster for those of you who are watching. Okay, so right here I've got my wax leaf. You can see when I get closer. And now I want to put in the little details of the leaf. I'm going to let this dry a little bit. And then I want to figure out what sorts of things I put on here. Now one thing I'm noticing about this leaf is that it's got veins here. It's got one large vein that goes from from tip to tip basically, and it gets thinner once I get to the very end. And this is a little bit darker than the leaf in general, so I'm going to do a little bit darker color on top of here. So start out on one end, and I just draw this line. All the way to the other end. Now, I can put in the other veins. So what I notice about these veins is that they start from this central vein and they go out to the very tips. So I will give that a try. Okay, so take a look closer. Now you can see my leaf. And if I wanted to, I could even cut this leaf out so you wouldn't see all the other bits and pieces. Or I can start to color in around here. Now, one other cool thing that you can do is you can draw a whole picture with your wax and then paint over it. So, for example, if I wanted to do this bark right here, I could draw the outline of this, but I could also draw in the little lichen that's growing on here with my crayon. So let's give that a try. I'm going to trace around here. And I see the lichen is kind of wobbly, and it takes up quite a bit of the space on here. So I'm going to just color that in. All right, I need to wash off my brush because my brush is getting pretty brown and I want to have a little bit of gray in here. So I'm going to switch to gray and I'm going to see if I can get the right color of gray from black. Now this one turned out pretty black, so I'm going to add another layer. Yeah, that's a lot more gray. All right, so I can put my gray right over here. Black is tricky because it is a very, very dark color and I don't want it to turn out too dark. All right, let's show you what I've got. So on here you can see that all of the green that I drew with my crayon is now resisting the water, and it actually is bubbling up a little bit where you can see there are little beads of water that were resisted on there. So there you have it. It's a very, very brief introduction into using watercolors. And I'm sure there are plenty of experts out there who know a lot more about watercolors. But I just wanted to give you some tips that make you feel a little less intimidated and some fun things to do while it is raining outside. So thanks for watching. Everyone, I hope that you are healthy and safe, and I will see you next Monday at 1 o'clock. Bye.